Welcome to episode 93 of Drew's Sports Crew here on this Tuesday morning. Yeah, Tuesday morning. And look at my background. What is going on here? I am back in the home studio. I'm back for winter break here after a semester at UW Milwaukee. So I will be back around here for, around 4 to 5 weeks estimated. So you'll be seeing this background for this episode. You'll see the sports jerseys. You'll see the Topps baseball. I like this background a lot more, and I agree. I think many of you will agree on that. But again, back in the, back home for 4 to 5 weeks here. Also, the Tuesday morning. Look, what happened was last week we previewed the Monday Night Football game between the Packers and Rams, and we got the outcome we wanted. But what happened was it was like, okay, well, I'm not going to be able to talk football until that game ends because we already previewed it. I mean, if you want to listen to my preview, go listen last week. Injury report didn't change too much, so ended up being pretty much kind of as expected in that game. But yeah, I mean, able to now bring it Tuesday morning, not the Monday morning. Apologize for that day delay. I know we have high school stuff to talk about, but thankfully, right, the slate is mostly tonight, so we didn't miss out on too much there. Otherwise, schedule this week, we're moving to the winter break schedule, and I actually think the schedule might be best for the future, how it goes. It's Journey to a Million. We won't have that beautiful Wednesday night time, anymore. It's going to be kind of Wednesday, Thursday. Ideally, might have to throw a Tuesday in there, but the plan goes Wednesday and Thursday. But this Thursday is when you'll find Journey to a Million. We're planning roughly 4:30 p.m. on that. Again, you can catch a recording. That'll be up after Thursday night. Otherwise, we're looking at Drew's Basketball Crew. You might be wondering, when is that coming out now? And we're going to stick that in the weekend. Friday or Saturday is when that will come out. It's going to be what slate is best. I'm going to basically make the judgment there. I'll look at the slates, find the one that I think is best for an episode, and we're going to be doing it like that. These weekend slates will have more games. There'll be more action. More people can watch. More people can participate, and so on. It's just it ends up being better for all of us, I think. So I'm going to try to move that to the weekend, for scheduling. I think that's just going to be best, in my opinion. And yeah, Journey a Million, it's going to be still in the middle of the week. But otherwise, this won't be at the start. Basketball Crew will be at the end. College Athlete Spotlight, still planning for next week. Keep that bi-weekly thing going until, right, the plan is until we hit episode 30, and then we'll take a little break from it. We'll wait and see, though. Right now we're on episode 23, so that'll leave us really with 7 more episodes. So I think, well, that's really 14 more weeks. So I might move it like that. It's next 3.5 months basically of College Athlete Spotlight, which we'll see. Or we can take a break during winter break and then bring it back in late January. It just depends, with college athletes too. I have to, keep in mind their availability. And with that, that's the game plan. Again, we like to do 15 episode seasons for that, but we'll keep it moving here. We got a lot to talk about today. I feel like I say that every week, but this week, we have to touch on the EWC, of course, and then we got to go and talk about the world of football, that Ram Packer game, then the Bucks. We have talked about the win last night, which I wrongfully predicted. Yes, at the end of the episode, I'll be going over some of the giveaway info, so stay tuned for that. Let's go to the EWC. We'll start in girls basketball. We'll talk about what happened this past week. We'll talk about standing stats. You know the drill. Right now, we're going to go right through the standings. So the Brilliant Lions, I'll just spoil it a little here, boys and girls have not lost a conference game yet. But the Brilliant Lions are on top for girls basketball, 5-0 in conference, 7-1 overall. However, Chilton is 4-1 in conference. I believe those two have not met yet, so that should be a good one. Chilton 8-1 overall. So check that out. New Holstein 4-2 in conference, 6-2 overall. Kiel 3-2 in conference, 5-4 overall. Sheboygan Falls 2-3 in conference, 6-4 overall. Valders 2-4 in conference, 3-7 overall. Roncalli 1-4 in conference, 3-6 overall. And then the Two Rivers Raiders 0-5 in conference, 1-9 overall. Here are your stat leaders For girls basketball, Grace Shizzle is on top of the conference, averaging 23 a game. Allison Kakis, 22.5, is in second. Peyton Grenzer, also of New Holstein. So New Holstein is two of the top three scores, 16.4 for her. Adeline Hurl of Chilton, 16 a game. Megan Schumann rounds it out for the Brilliant Lions, 15.4 a game for her. Let's go to rebounds. The New Holstein Husky Peyton Grenzer is on top, 14.5 rebounds a game. Addison Schwely of Sheboygan Falls, 13.1. Adeline Hurlden of Chilton rounds it out, 12.4. And then Alyssa Wolfel in assists, right? I mean, her being from New Holstein as well. I just want to point out there are three Huskies on top. Each stat: Shizzle, points per game; Grenzer, rebounds per game; Wolfel, assists per game. Then Ali Kakis, Two Rivers Raiders, 4.5 for her. Olivia Shu then 4.1. So yeah, 5.6 assists. I mean, it's incredible what New Holstein has done this year, and they're right now 6-2 overall, 4-2 in conference. You got to imagine. I mean, it's going to be a tough squad. Those top three teams, I'm intrigued to see how they play each other. Right, that being Brilliant, Chilton, New Holstein. All three very good squads, loaded with some experience. I mean, Chilton, I'd say it's the least experience out of the three. I think that's fair to say. But Chilton certainly loaded with talent. You gotta like them for the years to come. New Holstein and Brilliant are the two that have the experience that is gonna come down. Or that's gonna be extremely important, extremely crucial in those games. Right? I mean, Brilliant. If you just look at their starting five and playing together forever. Right, and then New Holstein on top of it, they have a talented group, right? I mean, highlighting Wolfel, Grenzer, and Shizzle, and then I mentioned some of those middle teams, right? It's Kiel, Sheboygan Falls, Valders, I'd say, right? I mean, Kiel Raiders have historically been good, right, in basketball. You could say the same for Valders, struggling though, 3-7 overall for them. Sheboygan Falls Falcons, though, they're rebounding. Right, I mean, top Falcon, Addison Schwely, having a great start to her year so far. Otherwise, I think that's kind of stat standing wise, that makes sense, right? We're gonna touch on the non-con games that took place yesterday. Unable to talk about them, I apologize, but we had Ripon and Chilton squaring off. I do see Ripon 68, Chilton 42. I don't think that updated, so I think Chilton might be 8-2 overall. You can correct me on that. Just looking there. Brilliant Southern Door, 61-45. The Brilliant Lions get the job done there. They won by 16. They move again to 7-1 overall on that. We do have a non-con slate, though, tonight. We have two games on it. Plymouth travels to Kiel. We have Valders traveling to Kewanee. So two good games there going on. We'll see how the EWC fares in those. The games get even better Thursday. I'm serious when I say that, right? We have Brilliant traveling to Freedom, a rematch of last year's game. That should be a good one there at Freedom. Then we have St. Mary's Springs traveling around Collie. Valders traveling to Luxembourg Casco. Chilton going to Ozaki. Sheboygan Falls going to Cedar Grove, Belgium. So overall, I mean, non-con games officially all this week. No conference games, but we'll see how it goes, and we'll see if we have some crazy stat performances from, some of the players in the conference. And yeah, I think this is going to be an intriguing, of course the conference race will be intriguing, but who's going to be the scoring leader? Will it be the Huskies, Grace Shizzle? Will it be the Raiders, Allison Kakis? Could it be the other, or another New Holstein Husky in Peyton Grenzer? Could it be Adeline Hurl of Chilton, a Tiger, or could it be the Brilliant Lion, Megan Schumann? There are a lot of questions there. Certainly, right now it looks like it's going to be Shizzle or Kakis, but we're going to have to wait and see on that. And that's going to wrap it up here for the girls recap in basketball. Again, we'll see how the EWC fares in these non-con games. Let's go to the boys' side and let's touch on these games. So we have, or let's touch on, the standings first, then stats. We'll go through it how we just did theirs. This is going to be interesting. Brilliant on top, no surprise, 4-0 in conference, 7-0 overall, but it gets interesting with the Kiel Raiders. I talked about last week. Kiel took it to Valders at Kiel. They won by 20, and they are 4-0 in conference, 5-0 overall. That Kiel Brilliant game which guess what? They gave us to it the basketball, the basketball schedule gave it to us tonight at 7 o'clock in Brilliant is where you'll find that one. That's gonna be a good one. Is is Brilliant safe? Is this a game they're gonna just confidently win? You know, I don't know. Um, you certainly gotta like their defense though against Kiel. Kiel just shot the ball lights out. I mean, that's how they beat Valders. Um, but I think we're gonna have a good game in Brilliant tonight. Is all I'll say. But again, I'll get back to the the standings here. 4-0 for the Raiders, 5-0 overall. Roncalli 3-1 in conference to surprise by many for people, 3-2 overall. New Holstein 2-2 in conference, 2-5 overall. Valders 2-2 in conference, 4-3 overall. Two Rivers 1-3 in conference, 4-3 overall. Chilton 0-4 in conference, 2-6 overall. Then Sheboygan Falls rounds it out, 0-4 in conference, 0-5 overall. Your stat leaders, you guessed it, Jeremy Lorenz on top, 21.1 a game for him. In second, Cole Hovey, 18.1. Brady Richards, 17.6. Pierce Arns, 16.8. Braden April, 15.4. I think the biggest surprise here, I think there's two surprises, right? I don't think people were thinking Brady Richards was going to step in and be third in the conference through, 7-8 games the season. I also think Braden April has made a huge leap from last year as a scorer. I think that's, that's been something that's been extremely underrated. I think there's more than one reason the Kiel Raiders are 5-0 overall. I think you got to credit, of course, you have to credit Pierce Arns and Grant Munns, but I think Braden April, Aiden Murphy, those guys, right, those shooters on that team, those scorers, I think they've been crucial. I think they've been extremely underrated in the conference, and that goes even when we were previewing. I don't think they were talked about enough or as much as they should have. Even last year, talking about a preview, like what's ahead. I think these guys underrated. I think they're proving a lot of people wrong. Rebounds a game. You could have penciled this one in, right? Grant Munns, 14.6. Cole Hovey of Alders, 9.8. Jeremy Lorenz, 9.6. And this might be the most exciting, maybe, most surprising. I wouldn't say surprising, right? Parker Brown leading the league, assists, leading the conference. No surprise there, but the amount, 6.7 a game so far. Look, there's a reason this Brilliant squad again is 7-0. Kind of with Kiel, it's, of course, Jeremy Lorenz is the guy you're going to circle, but guys like Caden Holly, Parker Brown right here. I mean, Grady Geiger, those guys, have been, vital to their success over these last few years. Parker Brown, of course. I mean, when you're averaging 6.7 assists a game, come on, in high school, crazy numbers there throughout. Austin Kramer, 4.7. Pierce Arns, 4.6. So exciting. I mean, the stat numbers. I mean, we're seeing crazy stats in this conference, as it seems like we've always had since the new EWC was formed. Roughly, was it 2015, 2016? I don't know. I think this is some good stuff we're seeing, and you gotta like, the conference. Cliche as it is, it's been in good hands, and it will continue to be in good hands. So, let's go through some of the games that took place, and we'll talk about, Roncalli facing Milwaukee Hamilton last Saturday. 98-46 was the final there. Roncalli loses by 52. Look, they schedule not tough non-con games. They always have. It's them and Valders. I'll sprinkle Brilliant in there. Kiel a little bit. Kiel and Milwaukee Academy of Science last year. I think these teams in the conference, they always have scheduled tough ones. Milwaukee Hamilton being no exception there, as a tough game scheduled. Ripon and Chilton gets the job done. They win 58-28. So that was last night. Low scoring one there. Ripon only putting up 28 points. Intrigued to see the shooting numbers on that. Let me see if I can give you the shooting numbers. And I cannot, unfortunately. But we'll touch on the other games this week. The conference games tonight. And again, we got good ones. Kiel Brilliant, pencil that one in. If you're looking for high school basketball to watch, listen, whatnot, you're going to Brilliant tonight. 7:00 game there that's the place to be. I mean, it's as simple as that. New Holstein, Two Rivers, could be actually another good one. Could Two Rivers prove to 2-3? I think that game will be competitive. Roncalli Valders at Valders should be competitive as well. And then Sheboygan Falls Chilton. which neither team has won a conference game yet this year. Something's going to change tonight. And I guess this is probably the best night of conference games you could hope for, because what's going to happen is this. You're going to see Brilliant or Kiel. One team is going to lose their first game of the year. You're also going to see Chilton or Sheboygan Falls. One of those teams will win their first conference game of the year. And then also Roncalli Valders. If Valders wins, they are tied 3-2 in conference. And then Two Rivers, New Holstein. If Two Rivers wins, they're both tied in conference. I mean, this is the ideal night for high school basketball. This is exactly how you would hope for. And, I'll pick, of course, you got to pick game of the week as being Kiel Brilliant as, the best game. I think the best rivalry game, though, is Roncalli Valders. And then I think, Chilton Sheboygan Falls is going to be a competitive. I do like Chilton more in that game. But I think New Holstein Two Rivers is going to be, your third most competitive. I'll give Sheboygan Falls Chilton that last. But Chilton goes to Shiocton, faces them Thursday. We have a good one on also Thursday. While we got Fremont, is where Brilliant has to go to on Thursday. Kewanee and Kiel. That's always been a good game. Whether it's football, basketball, it seems like those two schools play each other a lot. Then we have Sheboygan Lutheran hosting New Holstein on Thursday. Sheboygan Falls travels to Utzberg. That's going to be good too. Both, in both girls and boys basketball, we have some great games this week before Christmas, before the holidays. So, an ideal week for all of them. And I guess I'll kind of talk about it, how I did for girls. What stat race is going to be the most intriguing? It's going to be points per game too in this one. I think Munz is going to run away with the rebounds. So, I think of course Jeremy Lawrence has to be the favorite, right? The Brilliant Lion there. But can the Vikings Cole Hovey, can he make a run for? He's only three behind him, and that surprised Brady Richards, right? 17.6. The Two Rivers Raider, can the Raider there? What's going to happen there? Could he sneak in top two? I do think Kiel, again, this is another cliche, right? They have a lot of mouths to feed in that offense. You got Pierce Arns, Braden April, Aiden Murphy, Grant Munz. These guys, I'm missing some there, but right? There's a lot. It's a really well-balanced offense, and they pass the ball a lot. They get a lot of assists. They take a lot of threes. They shoot the ball a lot. They score a lot, right? Which for me, I think they could have two guys in the top five. I think this is sustainable. But the big thing for me is, I think they're going to be like, when they have two guys in the top five, I think it's going to be like 4 and 5, maybe 3 and 5. So that's kind of where I'll say, but I think all I'm saying is when you see the conference team at the end of the year, it's going to be a lot of Brilliant and a lot of Kiel. And I think we can all agree on that. You're going to have, of course, Hovey, first team unanimous. You're going to have some other guys sprinkled in. You're going to have Richards maybe sneak, second team probably based on how he's playing. Will Grant Munz be on the first team? Probably. It's going to be him or Geiger, I'd say. So you're just going to see a lot of Kiel Brilliant flip-flop is kind of what I think. If you disagree, if you think, maybe I'm right, you can reach out at your sports crew, of course. Talk about it with me. I'm more than happy to discuss these things, but that's kind of where I'll end it there. And that's wisports.net is where you can find all this info. They will be linked down below. Again, thank you to wisports.net, WSN, and check them out for all of your Wisconsin sports or high school sports needs. On that note, we're going to go to the world of football, and we're going to talk about the Rams and Packer game that took place last night. And we'll talk about the Packer victory 24-12. The Rams fall to 4-10 overall, 1-5 on the road. Green Bay Packers 6-8 overall, 4-3 at home. But the big news is, they have a commanding rush attack. They did what the last 3 or 4 games, which I've said this too. They've been doing things on offense that we thought they'd be doing. Like the whole year, they haven't been, but now they are. This team should be running the ball 55% of the time. They basically did that. And then they should be passing the ball, right? The other 45%. They've done that now. Rodgers should be only throwing the ball 25 to 30 times a game, depending, if there's some last-minute clock work, something, whatever. Rodgers did just that. 22 of 30. He had that terrible interception, whatever. He threw for a touchdown, took 3 sacks. Oh, well. QBR wasn't as you wanted it. Rating was meh. But, again. He did what needed to be done. Only eight incomplete passes. Um, the rushing game I want to talk about. Aaron Jones leading the way as expected. 17 and 90, 5.3 an attempt for him. Looked great. AJ Dillon 11 attempts, 36 yards, 2 rushing touchdowns. The big thing, right? I mean, this cold weather, you knew we're going to see an uptick there in the red zone work for him. He is in. It sounds like he's in concussion protocol. That's kind of the big thing. Intrigued to see kind of what happens there. Of course, wishing him the best. Yeah, on the receiving side, so now with Romeo Doubs officially right healthy and back, I was intrigued to see what the target share will look like in terms of right with Christian Watson's hot streak. What's going to happen? And it was a lot more balanced. It really was. It wasn't like Watson commanding these 8 to 10 targets, right? And then Lazard, whatever. Watson still got the red zone work. I'm sure many of you saw right that touchdown or should have been touchdown at the end of the game. Watson didn't look for the ball. You saw Rodgers give the signal clearly, and he wasn't looking, but we saw him yell at him. But Dobbs actually led this team in receptions, 555. I just see a lot of Randall Cobb in Romeo Doubs. Is that fair to say? Is that too early? Is that too lame of a comparison? Is that like, you just chose a Packer receiver, right? I mean, I get that, but like honestly, you see a lot of Randall Cobb in him. You see a lot of this, which and of course their outrunning will improve as he goes on, but you just see a lot of this like this shifty, smart receiver who's gonna make smart plays, and I feel like that's kind of what Dobbs has done this year. Otherwise, Watson still, I mean, you can see the talent just bursting. He led the team in targets with 6. When he gets the speed in the open field, it's incredible. Jones 436 with that receiving touchdown looks great. AJ Dillon 3 of 35 got more receiving work again. If you look fantasy football, you gotta like what you saw with that. Otherwise, it was Lazard, Tunyon. Lazard was not used as much as all, which I think is long overdue. I talked about it. Lazard, from a talent perspective, is just not it for this team. What makes Lazard great is not, I think, what he's been able to do in football this year. It's been more of Aaron Rodgers, which I mean might be unpopular, but Lazard. Right, so still an NFL receiver, still a guy who's gotten the opportunity, still the guy who has a skill set, right? But just looking at it like that, Aaron Jones had that weird fumble loss. Anyone else think that was pretty weird? Looked like the new continuation. Looked like the play should have been blown dead like 5 seconds before, and they just let the play keep going. I was kind of like, what? I mean, like everyone was waiting for a whistle, it seemed like, and then like he just took the ball. I mean, I think that was a terrible play. Not on Jones' end. I mean, he still fumbled the ball, but it was just like, really? And then don't even get me started on the Rasul Douglas lateral backwards on the air. Just no, we're not going to talk about it. I do want to talk about this though. Quay Walker. I talked about defensive rookie of the year favorite for me. It won't be him this year, unfortunately. But honestly, any other year, I'm telling you, like right. I mean, Sauce Gardner's done incredible things, but any other year, Quay Walker, I feel would be your guy. When I say any other year, I mean there's some guys who have been just phenomenal the rookie year. I get that, but like I feel like in some years, maybe is the right word. Quay Walker might be your defensive rookie of the year. Honestly, he's played great football. I mean, he had that one hiccup in Buffalo. Many like honestly terrible play, but I mean that happens. But he's rebounded well. It seems like he's a lot calmer. It seems he's playing, a lot more team oriented. I really like what I've seen from Walker. On top of that, Sean Nixon, special teams, right? I mean, absolute, stud. Probably the best special teams returner Packers have had in a long time. I'm telling you. Other guy I want to talk about, Kingsley Nagbear. This was a guy, taking him back to the Journey to Million live show in August at Pet Skull Brewing. We talked about this guy, Nagbear, as a guy who could make an immediate impact just based on need, based on what this team wanted. And guess what? He's done that. I mean, he's taken over the role, and he's looked great. I mean, he has played excellent football this last 3 or 4 weeks of the year. right? Even with no Rashawn Gary, missing some guys. I think that it's been crucial having him on this team. And he's looked great. So Devontae Wyatt also gained a half sack last night, was a cherry on top for the rookie class. So, you got to be pleased with what you saw there. We talked about Nixon's returns. I mean, average was 32 yards. You tell me Packers have had that. No. And averaging 18 yards on a punt return, too. Awesome. Right? I mean, I think you got to love what you saw from the Packers in this game. Again, you got to like even in this colder weather, you have to like what you saw from the run game. You have to like how that was. It seemed like the forte of this offense, the passing is going to be built off the run game, right? And usually that's not the case. Usually the passing, allows the run game to work, but it's not Roger. Might be Rodgers' right decline in performance, but honestly, I think it's just the different weapons. I think that's more of the case in this one. But Packers only allowing 12 points. You're going to win the game. Mayfield played okay. I personally didn't think he played great, but Cam Akers played a lot better than I thought. I mean, Akers looked. You got to admit. I mean, he looked good. I mean, he looked a lot better. Again, it was a torn Achilles, so there's a lot of question about how he'd come back. I honestly he looks like a different player from the championship game last year, right? Or even the Super Bowl last year. He didn't look good. I mean, but now being a year out, almost a year out from that, he looks a lot better. He looks shiftier. He looks, just a lot better football player. And I think the Rams are glad, and I think they're happy they held on to him because that's even a guy in dynasty fantasy football. If you bought low on, kudos to you. I mean, I didn't, but I think that's a good play if you did so. The Christmas game, we'll talk about more on Journey to Million. I assure you that. But again, go check that out. That'll be around Thursday, 4:30. Packers got to win out. I can tell you the playoff scenario, though, before we go to Bucks. They got to win all three. They got to beat, right, the Dolphins. They have to beat the Vikings. They have to beat the Lions. They got to win out. Commanders got to lose 2 of 3, which is doable. They got the Cowboys in their schedule. Still, I mean, they have tougher games, basically. Seahawks got to lose 1 of 3, and they play the Chiefs this week. So I think, we'll see the Chiefs take care of business. I hope so. Please take care of business, Chiefs. They do that. Packers still got to win out. Based on the schedules that the rest of the teams have, or the Commanders, and I think you really got to, I'm confident the Seahawks losing 1 more game the rest of the year, but I'm not confident in the Commanders losing 2 of 3 as much. I hope so, but we'll have to wait on that. And we have to Packers got to win out. You still got to focus on winning. That's all you can do if you're a Packer fan, if you're a Green Bay Packer. And we're going to go to Bucks here. Enough NFL talk here. So my prediction post came out last week, and I had the Bucks losing in New Orleans. I can kind of explain, right, the intuition behind that. The Bucks offensive rating on the road right now is dead last in all basketball, but they do have the best defensive rating on the road. I do think, we knew this New Orleans game was going to be really tough. We did. But Giannis puts up 42. And then we also saw Zion. Drew Holiday was on Zion a little bit there. It was getting chippy. It was fun. I mean, this game, it was, again, I get to go back and forth. It was wild, right? I mean, they were playing the same time Packers were playing. It was a lot of, moving channels back and forth. Jonas Valanciunas, though, was kind of the guy who took over for the Pelicans. And yeah, that means Zion got a tech that, and it was just like, okay. Bucks were able to get in control. Joe Ingles is out there for the first time this year. I mean, these past few games, which has been crucial. I mean, you got to love that. But yeah, I mean, the schedule's tough this week for the rest of the week out. I did predict Monday wrong, but I was confident, them winning these upcoming games. It's tough. They have a 5-game road trip. New Orleans, they already got done. They won that one. They go to Cleveland on Wednesday at 6:00. They go to Brooklyn on Friday. That's on NBA TV at 6:30. And then on Christmas Day, they play at 4:00. ABC, Boston. Yeah, you bet I'm watching that one. Um, it's wild. I did have them beating Boston. I really hope they beat Boston. Honestly, that pick. It's gonna be tough, but look, this Bucks squad with how they performed. They just took it to this New Orleans squad that's played very good basketball the last few weeks, especially at home, and they've been well coached. They've played great games last like 3 weeks. And it was like, Zion, will they be able to contain him? They did. This Bucks team is known for doing that, defensive rating being a strong suit always in the Mike Budenholzer era. So, um, yeah, Cleveland. I hope they win that one too. I do think there is a chance they could go 3-0 this week. Now I'm starting to look at it more. Losing to Brooklyn on Friday might be the game I'll pick if that's if there's a game they lose. But otherwise, rest of the way out, I do like them against Cleveland. I do like them against Boston on Sunday. So that's kind of the schedule there. We have only 3 games the next week though. So for week 11 for the Bucks Prediction Challenge, you'll see that post up next Monday. On that, I'll have NBA power rankings up later today. So you can go check those out. You can call them controversial, whatever. I know the Bucks technically have the 1 spot, but honestly, I still think I'd put Boston at 1. So that might be the most unpopular take I'll have, but I promise you, if the Bucks beat Boston, even if they lose to Cleveland or Brooklyn, I'll have them at 1. That's kind of where I'm at. I just think with Boston, how they've still looked this year. They were on a tough road trip as well. So it's like, okay, really, they were out on the West Coast. So is it really fair to move them down? I mean, the Bucks have a similar tough road trip now. So I'm gonna keep Boston at 1, but Bucks will be at 2. I promise you that, and you can see the rest on the Instagram story at Drew Sports Crew. But lastly, we gotta talk about the giveaway. Yes, we have a $10 giveaway. Giveaway number 1 of 2. Two giveaways here. Giveaway 1 is for $10. What you have to do, it's as simple as this. You go on TikTok at Drew Sports Crew. You give a follow on that, and you go to YouTube, Drew Sports Crew. You subscribe. You take screenshot proof of both. You send them into at Drew Sports Crew. You get 2 entries into, again, this $10 giveaway. It's pretty simple. Just another way, right? Giving back to you, the listener, as we're on this journey, right? So again, I appreciate all the support. And again, if you want hats, $15. I'm around here in the area. So if you're in the Northeast Wisconsin area, just reach out. We can get a delivery all set up. Pretty easy these next 4 to 5 weeks. And again, I want to thank you all, for listening here. And I'm just going through other announcements. We talked at Drew Sports Crew, Instagram, Twitter, the TikTok, Drew Sports Crew on the YouTube, and Facebook. I think that's all I got. Again, I'll see you here Thursday night for some Journey to Million. It'll be a lot of fun. I beat Zach in fantasy football this week in the playoffs. You'll probably hear me talk a little bit about that, but that's all I got here. That's going to wrap it up for myself, Drew Skyberg, on this Tuesday morning / afternoon. Thank you all for listening to yet another episode of Drew Sports Crew, the perfect podcast for you.